Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for coming in and joining us on Lions Talk Live Morning Show Edition Tuesday. And you know what? We got a little bit of news to consider. Hey, we're less than 40 days away from the NFL draft kicking off. We're less than whatever it is, 3 months until the the NFL free agency kicks off in less than 40 days and about 3 months from the draft. So, all that being said, we all know from the thumbnail, plus we all more than likely watch Brad Holmes' presser, at least tidbits of it. And you know, we can see a lot of good things going on with the Lions. Brad Holmes had a lot of different topics to address, from anywhere on the media to Frank Ragnow. Ragnow, as we all know, a warrior for the Detroit Lions, has been for, gosh, man, it seems like six or so years now. What we can say about this, Frank Ragnow's put his body through it, and I think the Lions are being as respectful as they can be in regards to his taking a request to take some time to consider things. I think most of us anticipate and agree that Frank Ragnow is going to return to the team next year. But man, oh man, we all know, especially in the playoffs, that guy was facing a multitude of injuries, putting himself out there, and there was no way they were going to keep him off the field. So he's asking for a little time to just kind of sit and marinate, maybe go fishing and hunting before he makes any kind of decision or commitment to his team on his future. And I think you got to respect that with the guy. All right, with all that being said, a couple real quick tidbits. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Trying to make that push to get to 5,800, and I want to say we're about, 22 subs away, somewhere in there. So don't hold me to it, but right around there. Also, if you're enjoying the channel and you're enjoying the videos, don't be afraid to hit that thumbs up thingy and all that stuff. Last but never least, as a number of you have contacted me over the, I guess it's been months now. If you're looking to buy or sell property in the great state of Michigan, give me a call, shoot me a text. Outside of being a coach and a YouTuber, I am a realtor and have been for forever. So if you're looking for someone to work on your half, shoot you the straight, whatever is going on, right or wrong with a property, the land, commercial property, whatever it is, you get the gist. Give me a call, shoot me a text, 269-998-2384. If you're outside the state of Michigan, you can also still give me a call or shoot me a text. I can try to answer some questions for you, point in the right direction. I know one of you called me yesterday from Utah, and hopefully I gave some good words of wisdom to you. So, but anyways, you guys get the gist. If you need any help, give me a call. All right. All that now being said, let's see what's going on with the comments section. See what's on your guys' mind today. Moonscar is going to kick us off. Good morning, Coach and Duke crew! Exclamation point. One less day till free agency, 100%. And I know we had a little bit of a free agency episode the other day, and I'm going to say this. We'll start seeing after the Super Bowl, probably more and more guys across the league get cut for salary cap reasons or whatever reasons they're probably going to be. So what we see today on the free agency lists will change in the next month exponentially. And there's probably going to be some names on there. I know a few people have mentioned Lattimore from the Saints. Man, I won't lie. If he hits free agency as well as he plays man coverage, and that seems to be the preferred method of D that Aaron Glenn wants, he's going to be pretty tantalizing. All right, Dave, what do you got? Greetings and salutations all. Sure hope Frank keeps on tanking on. Love the guy, and he appears to be everything the Detroit Lion is meant to be. Strong, grit, fights through pain, and keeps pushing on. He does. And like I was saying at the start of the show, there's no doubt about Ragnow's toughness. I mean, that guy, he is a motor that keeps going. Remember the Tampa Bay game when his ankle got rolled, and then it got rolled again, and then his knee got compressed, and yeah, he was like, nah, you're not keeping me out of this game. He's going to go through it. So to your point, Dave, yeah, he's 100% a rare breed in any era. I think any team would love to have that guy. It's just obviously you have to respect that he wants a little time for his probably for his body to heal up before he makes any kind of decision. Moonscar, Frank will get some fishing in and then make another run at it. Yeah, probably. But I would say this. He comes back this year. You do probably have to wonder how many more years he's going to be out there. Whether it's 1, 2, 3, probably somewhere in that range. Frank Ragnow's time in the NFL will be coming to a close. So whether it's this year in the draft or free agency or whatever it may be, you're probably ultimately starting to want to start thinking forward and thinking about his future with the franchise. Sorry, guys, I got a notification. I had to turn that off real quick. Just didn't want the phone to keep going off. All right, sorry about that. Anyways, so good point, Moonscar. Jason, what do you got? Greetings and salutations, all. Same to you. Hopefully, you have a great morning. JDC, morning all. Morning back at you. Bergs, morning, Dan, and the Duke crew. Hope everyone is well. And I hope so with you too. And again, Bergs, thanks for all you do for the channel. All right, Robert, greetings and salutations, all. Did anybody see the Brad Holmes question mark wrap up media session? Worried, toasted Dave Burkesque, yeah, worries a session where he toasted Dave Burkett and Carl. Boy, I can't say his last name. Menar's classic. Yeah, I did see it where he had some commentary for them. Hey, and I'll say this for Brad Holmes, good for him, man. Somebody's got thoughts against you. You know, we live in a day and time where I get where everybody wants to be as PC as possible. There are no more, movies that are, Blazing Saddle-esque, I guess you could say, nothing like that. There are no more. It's just a different world than probably a lot of us grew up with. You can't have Naked Gun movies anymore. And those are some of my favorite of all time. But Brad Holmes laid it out there, his thoughts on different things. And yes, he did go after both those gentlemen. And I've got a lot of respect. I want to say that for both of those journalists. And that's what they are. They are journalists. They're not, scandalizing or whatever, reporters or anything. Anybody trying to basically do clickbait. I think both of those gentlemen are very good sports reporters and they cover the Lions. But that doesn't mean that, Brad Holmes was wrong for what he did. He had some thoughts. And Stephanie, good morning, everyone. I think Rags will return, and I'm sure he's told the team he just needs some time to think things over. Yeah, I think that's basically what it is. Give him some time. It's probably going to be a few weeks, maybe a month. But before free agency, I think it would be reasonable to assume before free agency, Ragnow is going to inform the team one way or the other what he's going to do. But I would assume most people are guessing that he will be back next year. Beyond that, though, I do think it's a real question mark. Boo, what do you got? Good morning, Duke crew. Brad was fire! Exclamation point. What a great guy to have leading the way. Yes, he's just great at what he does. What makes a GM great? That's probably time for another video. But I will say this, Boo. I agree with you, and it sounds like everybody in the comments section is basically in agreement with you. He's just wired a particular way. He's very analytic. He's very good at scouting and has nothing but faith, obviously, in the reports he's given from his scouting department. So the fact that he can draft exponentially well for a multitude of reasons makes him incredibly rare, in my opinion, in the NFL. Now, whether it's him or if he's just got some devoted people for working cap numbers and managing the team's salary constraints, he does a real good job with that as well. He's cleaned up the books here incredibly fast during his tenure. And really, he's been here 3 years, and I can't imagine there's much dead cap money, if any, left on the ledger. So give him credit for those two things. The one area he has not hit home runs in, some of it's just not as, just unlucky. He's signed some free agents. Some have worked, as we talked about. The offensive free agents have worked incredibly well. We all talked about this yesterday. Defensive ones, hey, what can you do with Emmanuel Mosley? I mean, you thought you were going to take a chance on a good player coming back from an ACL injury. He's out there 2-3 snaps and boom, the other one goes. That's just unfortunate. Gardner Johnson, we can all debate some personality aspects to him. He can play football. Whether or not we're going to say he's better than this guy or that guy, that's again another video. But what I can say is, him getting injured, tearing the pec, it's just unfortunate across the board. All right, Boonsguard, Coach, do you know if a guy retires, does that affect the cap less than if a guy gets cut? The cap money, so if you have guaranteed money on your contract and you retire, that does affect the cap. It does go into basically dead cap money. So it will, if I don't know Ragnow's contract, I'm not going to tell you guys that I do, but let's just assume for the sake of this discussion, he does have, I don't know, on next year's deal or something like that, prorated out $5 million in guaranteed funds, then that would get prorated onto the dead cap money for the following year. So probably there's people out there that are more knowledgeable about it than I, but from what I do know, that's what I can tell you guys. All right, Jason at Robert Yankee, you are officially banned from voice to text. Yeah. Voice text gets a lot of people, man. It happens. And I get sometimes when I read some stuff, I'm assuming, somebody's trying to do voice to text and it doesn't always go well. Hell, man, autocorrect gets me all the time. So it's the world we now live in, man. And you gotta read your way through it. All right, Robert, I believe we have one of the most dynamic and sustainable franchises in the NFL for years to come. Yeah, and I would agree. You look at how they're handling things, how they're constructing the team, how they're maintaining the team. That yes, they talked about, or Brad Holmes talked about when he came in his opening presser, that he was going to construct the team always considering the future and the now. That he was going to build something not just for a short-term window. Hey, we're going to be good for this year or two, and then go through 3 or 4 years where we're just not competitive or at all. He wants a sustainable franchise. We can all lament them because they're in our division, but the Green Bay Packers really are, I would think, one of the poster child franchises in the NFL. How they address things, how they handle things, how they develop players, how they draft players and make calculated, not big moves, but calculated moves in free agency. And there's probably other examples. That's just the one I'm coming in at 7:10 in the morning in my head and thinking of readily, probably also because we've been exposed to them as Lions fans forever. But you think about what they've done over really since the latter part of the 80s. Since that time, they have been incredibly relevant, the Green Bay Packers, in this league. And I think Brad Holmes is doing a real good job mimicking the example they've placed and made. So to your point, Robert, I think the Lions are going to be around for a while under his leadership. Moonscar, say again, Yankee. Yeah, 100%. Burks, yes, Holmes. End of season wrap up was epic. He brought receipts and got on Carlos, which was well deserved. Yeah, it was, and having a little fun with it, maybe poking the needle at him a little bit as well. But at the same time, it does show you that there is a real good relationship between the majority of the media in Detroit and the respective franchises. At least from the Lions standpoint, I can say that. I can't say that I don't really cover the Pistons anymore now like I did in the 90s or the 2000s as well. I used to have to cover them, or I shouldn't say have to cover them. I did cover them a lot. I can't really speak on the Tigers or the Red Wings. It's just not my forte. I don't know enough about them. But at least with those two franchises, I can personally say you've always seen fairly good relationships between the press and the offices. Yesterday, though, Brad Holmes had a little fun with it at somebody's expense, and I thought it was pretty well handled. Robert, no matter who we mock to the Lions, Brad Holmes will pick somebody else, and it will be just fine. Yeah, and that's one thing I think at this point we all have to. No matter if Brad Holmes goes out there in the end of the first round and drafts a punter, we're all going to be like, what in the heck's going on? But we probably also need to give him enough respect and say, look what this guy has achieved in 3 years and 3 drafts with us. There's no way to say this other than this. The guy's a stud. He finds talent. We can all say Broderick Martin, man, what's up with this guy? He didn't play this year. But now let's revisit that a year or 2 years from now. Is Broderick Martin the next Ife Melifonwu? Is he the next Derek Barnes? Where simply some guys take a little bit more time to develop. If that ends up being the case, if Hooker ends up being something, whatever you want to say, Scoresdale ends up being something, what we can say is in the 2 drafts prior to this last year, where those guys have now been on or on a roster for a little time, they all seem to be playing. They all seem to be contributing. There are very few wasted draft picks. And in the NFL, man, if you hit on 40% of your draft picks, you're considered to be a very competent GM. You get to 50, 60, 70%, you're just rare. And I would say this with Brad Holmes. He's over 70% as far as what he's selected and what's panned out in a 3-year window. So I agree with you, Robert. I think whoever he drafts, it will be unexpected, we'll all be like, wow, I didn't see that one coming. And you know what? He's got enough street cred where everybody's going to go, let's wait and see. Because after last year, any kind of doubts that people had with, all the flack the Lions took for taking Gibbs and Laporta, Campbell. No, I don't really think anybody gave him any flack for Brian Branch. I think pretty much everybody lauded that one. But I think we all get the point. He's probably got a better eye for things than any of us really realize. All right, Clark at Boo Booth, I agree. Holmes did a pretty good job with the end of the year press conference. I agree. Yeah, 100%. Clark, and greetings and salutations all. Back at you, buddy. Hopefully you're having a good morning. Mike, good morning, everyone of the Do Crew. Back at you. I hope you are having a great day, and thank you for being here. All right, let's see. Franz, greetings, crew from Germany. If Rags should retire O-line in free agency or the draft becomes huge, I would agree. Yeah, you got to keep your strength strong. And yes, keeping that offensive line just churning forward, keeping Goff's pocket clean, keeping the running lanes open. Yeah, that would be just massive for this team. Ed, good morning, Coach and Do Crew. Brad's media speech was very inspiring and confident building for us fans. Yeah, and it should be because, he addressed a lot of topics in it, and I thought he just did an incredible job with it. The guy knows the pulse of the Lions Nation. He's very, I guess you'd say, tuned into everything going on as well. So to your point, he's as much a part of the fan base and gave nothing but respect to the fan base either. Calling us the greatest ever, just pointing out how loyal the fans are, pointing out just a number of different things and how the team and the players are not lost with that. They want things to be as good as they can be for the fans. They all understand. The players have talked about it. Some of the players have been through it, where they mention just how much they're aware of the history of the last 20 years for the franchise and how much the fans have gutted through it. And then I know he mentioned a little bit about the Ford Field advantage at home in the playoffs and how they really want to make that a continuing thing, not just a one-off. So, yeah, give him nothing but credit for a lot of his presser yesterday. Michael, howdy, Dan, Lions faithful, back at you. Hopefully having a great one. Jason, Brad Holmes wrap up end of the year media session is what I meant. Yeah, I knew you were going with that, man. You're good. Eddie, greetings, salutations all. We are down to less than 40 days until free agency hits. 100% correct. And you know what? The closer we get, we're all going to be speculating more and more on who we're going after, what we're taking, etc. And reality is probably whatever we do, no one will have expected. All right, Ed, I know a lot depends on securing Goff, but I still think trading Hooker to get a number one corner or move up in the draft is the right thing to do. What do you think, Coach? Hey, man, Ed, I think you got some good points there. I know there's going to be a contingency of the fan base that want to see what this kid can do, Hooker can do. I get it. He's got the intangibles. He's got the athleticism. He's got the powerful arm, all that stuff. I also know what we have in Goff. And Goff, by NFL standards, in no means is an older player. So, to your point, what's best for the team? That's where we're all going to have to sit back and have faith in the coaches and the front office, Brad Holmes, etc., to make the right move. If we can secure a number one corner and we believe there's no way Hooker can supplant Goff, then you're probably making the right move going ahead and trading him to move up in the draft or just for another team's top corner, whatever. What I will say from my personal standpoint, I do whatever the offer says. If somebody makes an offer you simply can't refuse, you got to go with it. Get rid of any kind of emotional attachment or bias you have for a particular player or players and just say, hey, what's best for the team? What's best for this 53-man roster going forward? That's what you got to do, in my opinion. All right, Robert, I cannot believe being in the prime of my life that I'm now banned from Voice to Talk. Hey, it happens. Robert, I'm guessing you're struggling a little bit with that today, so that's what that's talking about. So, hey, I don't know what's going on to get you banned from it, but yeah, it's not always easy. Sometimes whatever you put in that thing, what you're saying, when what comes out in text is completely different. So feel your pain. All right, Trump's good morning all. Texas will be the next Jan 6th. Won't work this time. God bless America. What's going on with January 6. You're talking about next year? Man, I guess I don't know what's going on. So, all right, well, whatever it is, I guess let me know. Kurt, good morning, all. In my view, it's time to move on from Frank. He's beat up badly. Guy has been a warrior. But if you're not moving on this year, you will need to next year. It probably unpopular opinion, Kurt, but I will say this: you're probably not wrong with at least having some thoughts on it. Frank Ragnow, he's been fighting through injuries for a while. He's giving some indication, at least, that he's considering moving on from playing. So to your point, when players start doing that, even if they play another year or two, you got to be aware you're on borrowed time. So do you address his replacement when he announces retirement, or do you draft somebody to develop to ultimately supersede him when that time comes? There's probably no right or wrong way to do it. But yes, at some point, Frank Ragnow is going to be retiring, and the Lions will have to address it at that point or now. What's this? Hey, Bergs, thanks for this, man. Thank you very much. I will make sure Bobby gets a heck of a tip today. Bergs, love your show. Go get a Do It Hot Dog Happy. Enjoy, bud. I will do just that, and I will leave Bobby a real nice tip. So, man, I'm going to have to get her to come on the show sometime. Maybe during the off season, I'll do a show from the Circle K, talk to them and see if that's all right. So maybe they'll get a kick out of it. All right, Boo, I feel for you, Robert. My voice can't activate it. I'm all hunk and peck with one finger on text. Hey, man. Yeah, we all got different things. A lot of times I got to check when I'm texting because a lot of times sometimes I don't speak Spanish incredibly well. I speak enough to get by. And sometimes with different clients, they're Spanish speaking. So I've got to text it. And then your keyboard hold on. Sorry, I had to sneeze. And then sometimes your keyboard gets accustomed to the Spanish words. So a lot of times I try to type in T-O, and it comes up yo, and just, I get it, man. There's tons of problems, real world problems though, right? The voice text doesn't always work. Autocorrect's a heck of a thing. All right, Robert, what do you got? Excuse me, JDC, Robert. Banned or take an 8-month talk to text class. There you go. Yeah, I'm glad you provided him with some options. All right, Ed, I agree. Frank got beat up this year. However, if we draft I'm assuming if we draft a replacement, and then I'm guessing, there we go, of the future replacement, he could play another year and really help this team. Yeah, and maybe that's what they try to do. Maybe they will try to draft somebody and maybe give Frank a drive off here or just a little bit more time during the week off. If he returns, my anticipation would be that maybe Wednesday and Thursday practices, Frank Ragnow just takes him off throughout the entire season. Have him just go through basic walkthroughs and not really physical contact on Fridays. That's my guess. Who knows what happens? All right, Quentin. Good morning, y'all. We need Rags to stay with the team. Dude can play and power through. He probably, if he's going to be out there, I have got no doubt that he will power through whatever injuries come at him, unless they're obviously just massive injuries. All right, Silver, what do you got? Coach, let's say another team offers a contract at a special teams coach offering more money, and let's say he'd like to stay here but likes the extra money. What does he do? Ask Brad Holmes for more money? Yeah, basically, if somebody makes, and we'll just use Ben Johnson as an example, and it's just an example. But let's just say the Lions are giving him $2 million a year. Another team offers him the same position, but it's at $4 million a year. He probably is going to talk to, or the Lions are going to know that, and then it comes down to, do the Lions want to pony up the money to match it, or provide him at least something similar enough where maybe he won't leave. So it's no different than any other job, whether you work at Burger King or McDonald's or, wherever, you work at Stryker Hanford. Somebody makes you an offer. It's, clearly they're saying you're worth that. Now, do you want to move your family? Do you want to take the other job? And that's what the coach has to decide too. And there's other things to consider too, like years on the term. Like do you have 1 or 2 years left on your current contract? The other team's offering you a 5-year contract, guaranteed money. There's a lot that goes into the contracts that coaches have to decide. Do you feel like you can elevate from that position and have more responsibilities that will ultimately get you a better head coaching job? Do you like the talent there, the climate? I think you guys get it, man. All right, John. Brad sure had a lot of pent up thoughts, and he wanted to get off his chest in that press. Yes, he did. And I thought he expressed himself fairly clearly on those. Good point on that, John. Surfer, what do you got? Hopefully they resign Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think he is bigger and faster than Josh Reynolds. Jumps like a cricket and could have more upside. Thoughts? He's, Josh Reynolds, I'm going to guess they're going to resign him, although I don't have any knowledge of that. It's just simply a guess. But Donovan Peoples-Jones is not a bad receiver. If they resign him, I wouldn't be disappointed about it. And if nothing else, that receiver room stays strong. You got a ton of guys you can throw out there at other teams. So I like the way you're thinking, Surfer. Dennis, good morning, fam. Good morning to you too. Ed, all right, we got wait a minute. Lions need a kicker, and I okay with taking one in the fifth, shake up the draft. Yeah, fifth, sixth, seventh, maybe a free agent kicker, as far as undrafted free agent kicker. They're going to have to address the kicker position one way or another. I think we all get that. It's just, man, they've got to go out and get somebody they rely on who has a bit of a leg, something they haven't really had in about 3 seasons with this regime. All right, Trump, I am sure if Ragnow has anything left, he will be back to close in for a Super Bowl. Yeah, if he feels like he can go, he's going to be back. I don't think anybody watching this channel live or in the future will be able to say, nah, Ragnow's not going to want to come back. He's just, I think, got to give himself time to really heal up and see if he feels he can perform at a level that's acceptable to himself. So I get that. Woodscar, Matt with A. Okay, Matt with A. Phil, greetings and salutations. Back at you, buddy. Hopefully having a good morning. Looks like you're hanging out on the water. All right, Brother Ken, Burkett and Monterez deserve to get roasted. They are nothing but journalistic hacks of the highest order. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. We'll go with that. Trump, and that's what she said. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. What did that say? I don't know. I guess I missed it. Oh, boy. Shake up the draft. All right, fair enough. All right, Moonscar, maybe with a full OTA and training camp, Donovan Peoples-Jones will be a much larger contributor. It could be, yeah, when he gets more comfortable with things. Maybe the coaches just have more familiarity with his strengths and weaknesses and work him into things offensively that address those strengths. Ed, if we have to replace replacement for Ragnow, then how do you use both of them playing time? Move them around, give Frank a game off. What say you, Coach? I would say this. I think there's a real likelihood you're going to need at least one offensive lineman to step in this year. My guess is, let's just say for the sake of discussion, Ragnow returns this year. It also means you're probably losing in that scenario Jonah Jackson. I guess there could always be an argument where Glasgow is the one who's not back. So you got to replace somebody. My anticipation would be, Ed, at that point, you're drafting somebody to come in and take one of those spots, but also somebody who's getting some reps on the interior that you're saying, hey, in the future, in another year or two or whatever, they're going to slide to center for us and replace Ragnow. Yes, that also means at that point, you're going to now have to replace a guard again or somebody on the interior offensive line. But that's not so unheard of, because if you're probably putting somebody new on that line every 2 to 3 years just because of contracts, retirement, aging out, whatever you want to say. So that gives it so where you're not incredibly young on the line. You're also not incredibly old on the line. So a good mixture. All right, JDC. Ed, let's see. A liquor would definitely shake up the draft. There you go. A liquor would. Yes. Moonscar, I agree with Trump. Too close to quit. Yes. And that's probably the one thing. Like if the Lions would have won the Super Bowl this year, I think Ragnow probably would have retired. But now that you feel that you're on the near doorstep, you got that close this year. That's why I think he'll probably be back for 1, maybe 2 more years. But I don't think, in my opinion, nothing more than 2 years. So get him this year, maybe 1 more year. You're probably seeing him move on to the next thing in his life. Brother Ken, and another thing, Carlos Monera's flip-flops more than a politician in election season. Ooh, shots being fired in election year. Silver Server, get depth on that O-line. I thought we were a little thin. We were a little bit. Evan Brown could be a good commodity, and I think Oskawa did pretty good. A keeper. Thoughts? Yeah, I would keep him. Evan Brown, if you could bring him back, I thought he did great here in Detroit. So, yeah, I think you're spot on with that. And your points about the depth, yeah, Scoresdale, hopefully he can develop a little bit better, a little bit more. I think it was his rookie year last year. He had a couple moments he looked decent, a lot of moments he did not. So, but to your point, you're going to have to get some better depth for this offensive line. All right, Phil, yes, and maybe not sure where you're going with that. All right. Trump's is a keeper. Yeah, he is. I thought he did well. He run blocks incredibly well. Pass blocking, it still needs some work. K-Pop, good morning, all. Good morning to you, too. Phil, how did your game go yesterday? We won. Close one. You could see that at this point in the year, they've been going games for 3 months. They looked, our team at least, looked, I thought, very slow, very sluggish, mentally very fatigued. You could see Friday's game was huge for them. Emotionally spent, probably because of the nature of the game and how it finished and stuff. So I gave him the day off today. I said, you know what? I want you guys to go do whatever you want. Get away from each other. Go out. This gives you 3 days out of 4 off. You got another game Wednesday. You got another game Friday. You could tell they needed a break. So told them, don't come into practice today. Just go home, drink a Mountain Dew, go have some fun. I thought about maybe taking them out to the beach. It's going to be 40 degrees today. Just, hey, have fun on the sand for a little bit. Maybe we get pizza or something like that and just relax. But I just said, nah, just take the day off. All right, Trump. Woo! There you go. The first woo of the day. Brad Holmes. We're going to get better. All right. Question mark. I don't want anybody to think that this was a one-shot Cinderella magical journey that just happened. It's not real. Yeah, I get your point. Yeah, and I get his point too, that like we've talked about, he's not trying to go all in on one particular season, one particular 2-year window. He's trying to build something that would be repeatable or fairly close to it for a long time. And again, using the Packers as your example, that's what they've been for the most part over the last 30 years. And I think Brad Holmes is trying to achieve the same thing here in Detroit. Robert, good morning. Dan and crew, back at you, buddy. Bergs, Moonscar Ragnow, wouldn't be a quitter. He doesn't want to jeopardize the team if he can't hold up, doesn't want to be a weak spot. I respect that. Yeah, and that's what he's got to figure out. To your point, Bergs, he's got to give his body some time off to figure out, can he still perform at a high enough level where he's assisting the team and not hindering the team. Yeah, I agree with you. Trump, they need to save Ragnow for the second half of the season. Fair enough. Yeah, and I'll just say this, man. I do believe if he comes back, you're going to have to try to preserve him as best you can. So like I was saying earlier, to me as a coach, the best way to do that is during the week, you got to take pounding off that body, a cumulative pounding for 4 or 5 months. They give him 1 day off right now. I think you got to take him up to 2. Hard part is you see other players are going to see him, sitting there while they're out there banging away. And that's probably the one tough part with it. All right, Ed, what do you got? Dang spell check. Yeah. Spell check gets me all the time, man. All right, JP, good morning, Coach. Good morning to you too. Moonscar. Coach got a do cut. Yes, I did. I got a pretty good haircut yesterday. They took a little bit of the locks off, and it needed it. JDC, Michigan equals God's country. I'll go with that. All right, Miles Marker, good morning. Looking forward to Holmes' choices. Yeah, I think we all are, and we'll see where he takes us. All right, Robert, I want Josh Allen from the Jags. That would be a great pickup, in my opinion. You get him out there or the dude from Minnesota, Hunter, I think you'd have something there. Brother Ken, California equals Satan's country. All right, we're establishing some boundary lines here for good places and bad places. All right, Brent, good morning, Coach and Duke crew. Love Brad's press conference, exclamation point. Hope Frank comes back for 1 more year. Won't be here tomorrow, having surgery for a diaphragmatic hernia. Take care all. Hey, hope the surgery goes well for you. And I hope, you have a good recovery with that. So we'll maybe have a Mountain Dew in your honor tomorrow. So see you when you get back. And again, good luck to you there, Brent. What do you got? Doug, I think the guy Johnson would be a great guard center combo just in case. Imagine your $250 million QB scrambling. We need as good an OL. The day is going to come, if not this year. Yeah, I agree with you, Doug. I think, one, Johnson would be a ideal setup because he probably played guard this year and then transfer to center in the future when needed. And also to your point, yeah, you got to keep Goff clean. Otherwise, like any quarterback, the more hits they take, higher chance for injury. Plus, you rattle them mentally and emotionally. So I concur. Big D, what do you got right now? Right now wants a ring, and he's going to play till he gets one. Yeah, Ragnow, I'm guessing voice to text or whatever right there. But yes, Ragnow wants a ring, and he's going to keep going. All right, Trump coming to suck. God bless America. Fair enough. That is right out of Red Dawn, and I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember the original, but I do love that movie. Broski, let's see, brother Ken Satan is giving Newsom's daddy. All right, fair enough. Pickering Auto. Hope Frank does what is best for Frank. A longtime Lions fan, sadly, have seen way too many Franks play their hearts out with bad management, and sadly now with good everything, he is busted up pretty bad. He is pretty badly busted up, and hopefully he can heal up enough to where, hey, he can say, I'm healthy enough still and can still perform at a high enough level where I can go ahead and get through this. So hopefully he's able to do that. We'll see what happens though. And I'll say this, no matter what he chooses to do, I'm going to respect it. Silver Server, I saw that other YouTubers are implementing live chats, answering in the participants. I think you might be scaring somebody. It is what it is, man. Any world, any profession, coaching as examples. You do something on offense or defense, somebody else, if it's successful, they're going to probably try to replace it and implement it into what they do. Burger King and countless other franchises have borrowed from the ideas of McDonald's, and it just is what it is. Hey, if they enjoy doing it, have at it, man. So it's not like it's some sort of secret. Just having conversations with people, but hey, it's nice that they enjoy doing it or whatever. So cool. All right, answer 14. Greetings, salutations, coach and Duke crew. Certainly going into be an interesting offseason. Brad Presser was great, I believe. Yes, I think we all believe in Brad. We all believe in the direction of the team. And for the first time in probably most of our lives, Lions fans believe this is as stable a franchise as it's ever been. And that's really saying something that we can say next year should be pretty good. 2 years down from now should be pretty good. It's just incredible what they've achieved, turning around the reputation of this franchise, the product on the field, the fans' perception of it, all in just 3 years. All right, Big D. Josh Allen is a great fit for Detroit. In my only worry is age. Yeah, and you'd probably see that reflective in his contract and such. But one thing at a time, if they feel like they can get him, and he's going to be helpful for the team for a year or two, then maybe they do take a strong look at him. All right, Trump. Let's see. Thank God for old pesky Constitution. Yes, it's there and probably going to be there for a long time. All right. Is that still you? Good morning. I think Holmes is aware of the impact his words will have on fans. We like him. Yeah, I don't really think. I mean, maybe you guys know, and if so, let me just share it with me. But are there a group of fans that don't like Brad Holmes? I can't really think of any time anybody's had anything bad to say about him. I get there was some draft day reactions, this year, last year, whatever, where everybody thought he lost his mind, but it ended up being right. And I don't think anybody still feels that way. So it would be something to see. Is there a portion of Lions fan base that has disdain or dislike or whatever you want to say for Brad Holmes? I'm just not thinking of it if it's there. Doug, been a salesman all my life. It's early yet, but I read Ragnow, and I don't think he's better than 50-50 to come back. From the questions we're asking him, that's the reality. Oregon, yeah, center guard. And we'll see what happens. To your point, is it probably a coin flip if he returns? There's probably some truth to that. I think a lot of it's just going to, again, come down to, does he feel like he can still perform at a high enough level? And that's probably the answer only he can answer. Or, yeah, that's the question only he can answer. All right, Silver Sir, sure hope they find a way to re-sign James Houston right away and pay Amon-Ra St. Brown. Otherwise, he might leave next year. He has more than earned his share. So starting off with Amon-Ra St. Brown, I don't think there's any way they're letting him leave. And I think he wants to be here. So that's the other part of it. Do players want to stay here? And will the team resign him? This isn't Chuck Schmidt's Detroit Lions. This isn't Pat Millen's Detroit Lions, or probably whoever else you want to say. I think players legitimately enjoy playing for this franchise now. This is what they know. This is what they love, and they love the culture. Doesn't mean there won't be some people that are pissed off or upset. There's always going to be a percentage. But the vast majority of them, I do believe, want to be here. So starting off with Amon-Ra, yeah, he's going to get his 100%. James Houston, that one's a little bit more of a question mark to me. I love the guy to death. I think you guys all get that. I think he's awesome. Yes, he does have some real deficiencies defending the run, and therein lies the problem. Do they feel like they can resign him at a good enough cost to justify having to develop that side of him? And do they feel they can develop that side of him? If they do, he's probably going to remain. If not, you're probably going to say goodbye to him. All right, Robert G. Allen is 26, not bad in my opinion. Yeah, no, at 26, he's still in the prime of his NFL career by most accounts. You probably got, 2, 3, 4, somewhere in that range. We'll go 2 to 4 years where he's still in that range. And that's probably going to be the life of whatever contract he ultimately gets this offseason. All right, Patrick, Dave Burkett, Carlos I used to kill it. Menares, pronounced Menares, have been same old Lions people forever, even back when Wayne Fontes was head coach. Yeah, and I want to say Burkett, when I was covering stuff for the AP, he was still with, I'm trying to remember the newspaper he was with at that time. It was one of the Detroit papers, but it was one of the smaller ones. And then he got a new contract or a new deal, a new job, what are we going to say, with Freep. Carlos, I'm trying to remember where he was at before. But anyways, both of them have been around for a long time. They've known different coaches, they different things. I have respect for both of them. Doesn't mean I don't disagree with some of the things they say. So we'll go with it. And yes, I thought it was pretty well handled by Brad Holmes with things. So yeah, if you guys haven't watched that, I'm sure when you today or whatever you get bored, you can find it on YouTube, and yeah, have your thoughts on it for tomorrow. Phil, why don't other teams see Brad's value at and hire him? It's just, it's like any player that gets missed, any coach that gets missed. They're always there. It's just somebody has to take a chance on them. And therein lies the problem. Not everybody gets their chance. When you do get your opportunity, then you have to obviously embrace and do something with it. Think about Ben Johnson. He's been before he came here to Detroit with Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn. I mean, all the teams had him. Yeah, they had him around. He was just never given an opportunity to really elevate. You could say the same thing with Brad Holmes. You could say the same thing with Dan Campbell. Finally, they got their opportunities, and when they got their opportunities, they did pretty well. Let's also not forget, not last season, that's now passed, but the year before when we started off 1-6, there were a lot of fans that were ready to fire MCDC. They wanted him gone when we were 1-4, 1-5, 1-6. And then obviously something clicked, and now we all have a completely different take on it. And same with those fans that want him gone. You can look back on my YouTube channel. One of the first games I covered, I thought he did a horrific job coaching, and I put a video out there. You should be terminated, fired, whatever. He has since changed my opinion on that as he got more experience. He made better calls. The team also grew to embrace what Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, MCDC were all doing. So all that comes into traits in play. Brad Holmes, though, he's been a monster hire. Is that so you? The Constitution is everything. Traders are nothing. Go back to Trader Social for more notes. Okay, fair enough. Dog Kong, Super Bowl or bust. Now we know Brad Holmes is making zero big money free agents. Okay, fair enough. And yeah, it will be interesting to see what he does. Was it Trump? Got a case of TDs. Okay. No politics. Yeah, let's keep it politically free here. All right, Don Kong, hit the like button, folks. Yes, if you would, please. If you haven't yet subscribed, Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Also, hit that thumbs up button. All right, Robert G, maybe draft Chop from Penn State instead of Josh Allen in free agency. Yeah, both could even be options. They could just, rotate them, keep everybody a little bit fresher. I thought that really paid dividends with Aiden Hutchinson during the back half of the season when they took his snap count down from 90% of all defensive snaps down into the low to mid 70s. You could see he had a lot more, energy basically. Trump's a genius. God bless America, 100%. All right, Doug, is it the AG or Brad regarding DBs? Garner Johnson is not completely about the team. I saw him jumping in on Melifano's interview and didn't like it one bit. He can't stand not being the center. Yeah, I would agree with you, Doug. I think there's a lot of truth where you're saying there about Garner Johnson or CJ Garner Johnson. As far as who they resign, ultimately, end of the day, the coaches have input. Brad Holmes has to make the selection, though, and he's got to make the offer. He's the one in charge of all of that stuff. So the coaches are going to have their input. And I would say this: if the coaches flat out don't want him, I don't think there's any way Brad Holmes is going to resign him. You don't want to burden a coach with a player that you flat out don't want to put on the field, because at the end of the day, if you're going to pay a player that kind of money and the coaches aren't going to put him on the field, why would you pay somebody that much money then? So I hope that makes sense to you. Is that still you, America? Yes. Silver Surfer, hope you keep developing corners, whether they are rookies or free agents with potential. I was a little sad when they let Sterling Thomas the fifth go. Yeah, I think a lot of people really wanted him back. I think most people really enjoyed what they saw out of him. It's tough, man. It's tough, without question. Sometimes you have to make tough choices. Now, with that being said, with Thomas, I always thought it was interesting they kept Gilmore, but let him go. But yet Gilmore, I don't think he got on the field in any regular season game. Maybe he was developing all that stuff, but yeah, I would have liked to have seen him remain. All right, Doug, Branch should have played more than CD against F. CD pushing, ? AG giving in the loud voice. Risco, he didn't. Why? That's what I guess we'll have to leave up to the coaches to see. Branch, I thought, had a heck of a rookie season. I mean, he was one of a number of Lions who just performed incredibly well. Now, whether or not Garner Johnson's coming back, who knows, man? We'll wait and see. He gets signed, he's back. If not, move it on. All right, Trump, I love mean tweets. Fair enough. Jason, I love mean tweets. All right. Patrick, I stopped watching the Pistons after Isaiah Thomas was done. Yeah, I watched them again just because of work responsibilities and stuff in the 90s. The 90s after the bad boys left were kind of meh. And, early 2000s, I think we all know the go to work guys or whatever. They were pretty fun to watch. Different type of basketball, very slow paced. But you know what? I thought they had a great run there. I love milk. Fair enough, Donkey Kong. Hope you have a good glass of it today. All right, mile marker. I love mean teams too. Fair enough. JDC, Dan for El Presidente. Boy, that would be. I don't know if there's enough Mountain Dew in the world for me to ever consider politics. I have one buddy, friend of mine, Bill. He's been in politics his entire life. He's tried to talk me into it, and I just go, nah, man. I'm too truthful for that, man. I can't do the trying to glad hand everybody. I'm going to tell you what I think, and you may not like it, and I'm okay with it. Jason, what do you got? Dan's new haircut is presidential material. There you go. Oh boy, here we go. I will be the president of the Mountain Dew fan club, and that's about it. Doug, Broderick Martin was what Brad was talking about. The same as Hooker, same as Cody. You're right. Future depth at least. Yeah, and they're going to fill in. They had a plan with them. I think most of us knew when they traded up to get Broderick Martin, and I think we were all on the same page. You got somebody who's very athletic, but he's raw from a skill and developmental standpoint. In the future, I think he could be something given time. Not everybody develops in the same timeline. Not everybody has the same, ability to learn and grow. Some take longer. Some guys are in the league and they are, say, on a scale of 1 to 10, an 8 by their first or second year. They've developed into that, and then they just stop developing for whatever reason. Other guys are a 6 on a scale from 1 to 10, and by year 3 or 4, they're 8 or 9. So it's all different. It's all, you got to have an eye for those type of things and believe you can help that particular player grow into something when you're taking a developmental person. All right, Silver, what do you got? I meant to write, let's say somebody offers a contract for more money to Dave Flip or excuse me, but he likes to stay. What does he do? Question mark. Go to Brad or have to accept the offer right away? Teams will probably give you a little bit of time to make your choice, but my guess is Surfer, in your scenario, he goes right to Brad Holmes, say, hey, I just got this offer. Do you guys want to match it? Put anything out there and put it on the team. At that point, if the team says, yes, we're going to do this, then you have to make a choice. If they say, no, we're not going to do anything, we like where you're at, we can't offer you more at this time, etc., then the coach has to make their own decision. Surfer, what do you got? Think Badgley is more than enough as a Lions kicker? Could be, and it's just he's obviously got enough for them to keep bringing him back, but not enough where they didn't want to look for an upgrade. So you're splitting hairs, I think, to a certain degree with him, but we'll see what the Lions do with him. They may keep him. Mile Marker, do you think that this year other teams will be curious to see what Holmes drafts since he did so well the past 2 or 3 years, or they care less? No, I 100% think, Miles, that they're going to try to pick apart our scouting department. And I get they've already snagged a few guys, and they're going to try to get as much information like everybody else. Let me tell you, the war rooms are no different than stock market or anybody else. If somebody's got a track record for success, you can anticipate people are going to try to spy on you. They're going to try to acquire that intimate knowledge that you have or seem to have so they can mimic it and copy it. So it's going on now. It probably started, after his first draft. But if I would say this, across the league, there are 30 other teams trying to mimic what Brad Holmes is doing. All right, JDC, who's better than the Motor City Dew crew for Dan's cabinet staff? Oh boy, yes, you guys will be in charge of the Dew responsibilities that come along with it, and that will be about the start, the top, the crest, and the end of my political career. Doug, we need a running quarterback to teach our defense how to defend what we face, no matter the scheme. We can't let Purdy happen again. What if Chicago gets QB Williams? Yeah, Chicago is going to have a mobile quarterback no matter what. I think in any scenario, whether it's Fields or Williams, they're going to have somebody who can go around. And yes, the Lions, like we've talked about, I think they've got to address the athleticism overall on that front seven, or just maybe in the defense as a whole. And some of that, I believe, will happen this offseason. Just for those reasons, you got to be able to beat people in your own division first if you want to get into the playoffs. If you can't do that, you have no chance to host a playoff game, and your chance to really become limited to even get in the playoffs. Trump, no way they trade Hooker. Yeah, but somebody would really have to think. I think somebody would really have to make an impressive offer for it to happen. Doesn't mean somebody doesn't make that offer. So therein lies the question. Pickering Auto. Hooker could be a stud, but he could be. Hooker could be a stud, but he could be a Andre Ware or Charlie Batch. A lot of hype with both of those quarterbacks that never played well. Yeah, Andre Ware, man, he could never get on the same page. I really think the game just went too fast from him, from what he had in Houston, where he could throw to blind spots, to what he had to be a little bit more accurate in the NFL. Guy always seemed like a great dude, real nice guy, kid, whatever you want to say. And it just didn't happen. Charlie Batch, I mean, he had some moderate success. He had a pretty long NFL career. He had a while where he was the starting quarterback here, and then he went, obviously, to Pittsburgh and had a long year, either being the starter or backup there, or a long career, I should say. But, yeah, I mean, who knows what we have in Hooker right now? It's all best guess. Trump, trade him for first round, trade him for a first DT or kick rocks. Fair enough. I'll go with that. Doug, free agent cornerback. Then we get Ragnow insurance, then an edge with some arms and grit. 4 picks in the first 3 rounds, a second-round cornerback, rushing defensive line edge. Yep, all those are good areas to target. Patrick, if we can get a good center in the draft, maybe Ragnow could share time to help him develop. Yeah, it's definitely a possibility, 100%. Doug, Ragnow, we're talking about a foot. Oh, my gosh. The foot is used on every step. Ragnow is family man with hobbies. You can't take money. Money with you. Get Jackson, Oregon, or to play center, or guard. We need Goff standing. Yes, you're going to need Goff clean, and you're going to need those holes for the running back. So 100%, what they're going to do, I mean, all will be revealed in basically the next 2 months or so. The real Mo Steppen, all right. Why is it Hooker that has to be traded? Yeah, I'm not saying it does. It had to be him. Don't we need a backup? Seems like he's a threat, and some people want to get rid of him. Wow, gets us thrilled. Yeah, I would just say this. I'm not saying he's going to get traded. Let's be clear on that. I'm just saying if somebody makes an offer for him, heck, man, somebody makes an offer for Goff or anybody on the team that is just too good to be true, as a GM, I think you have to look at it. If somebody was to come up and say, hey, we'll give you 2 first-rounders, a second, and a fifth for Amon-Ra St. Brown, do you take it? To me, as a GM, as much as I love the guy, at some point, everybody has, if you're going to offer something that's just crazy value, you got to think about it. Now, I have no desire to ever see Amon-Ra St. Brown leave the Detroit Lions, but I'm just trying to make an example for what I'm trying to say about if somebody makes you an offer you can't refuse, you got to consider it. Patrick, that would be an ideal and save him for the playoff run. Yeah, help keep him as fresh throughout the season as possible. Jason, Dan, if you are the GM, who on the team would you release or trade and why? To me, and that's reality being a GM, everybody's open for trade talks. There's not a person on this team that I wouldn't trade for the right price. That's me. I'm not saying Brad Holmes would do that. And just to me, you're constantly trying to, as a GM, you're balancing one, the talent on the team, 2, versus the costs. And as players get older, especially if they're studs, they're going to cost more. They also now have limited or less lifespan. And everybody's lifespan is different. Quarterbacks, apparently they can play into their mid-40s now. So a younger quarterback like, Goff or Hooker, I'm probably not trying to move off them unless it's just a huge offer. So I guess hopefully that answers it without going too into details with everything. Doug, Ben J, would love Hooker for gadget plays. There have been cases in the NFL where QBs have come in and made life miserable to defend. A dozen plays that Hooker has to get a few yards, or J-Mo Bomb. Yeah, it could be that too. I'm not, I have no idea, no inside knowledge or anything like that, what they're going to do with Hendon Hooker. He could be the heir apparent and get Goff out of Detroit. He could be trade bait. He could just be the backup quarterback for a while. Who knows? All these are possibilities. And at this point, if I was to guess on anything, it'd be just that, I guess. Reynolds is going nowhere. I don't think they'll get rid of him. Yeah, I think they'll resign him. He's played very well in Detroit. Yes, he's had the 2 drop in the 1 playoff game, but you know what? Other than that, he's been money. Michael, greetings, salutations, Coach Duke Crew, back at you. Hopefully having a good one. Let's see, Doug, how much do we think of Colby's progress? Can he step it up a notch? Or Kada? I thought Kada played very well. Glasgow is not going to come free. Jackson is going to demand top 10 guard money. Yeah, and so let's do this reverse order. Jackson, I'm going to guess, unless Ragnow retires, he's gone. Just because the cost to retain him, and he's a good guard, 100%. He's one of the better ones in the league. I just don't think the Lions are going to be able to afford to pay that many guys top flight money on the offensive line. Okay, good backup. Maybe he can elevate to be a starter. Glasgow, I think that's the real question there. He is, I want to say, 32 or 33 years old. He's actually drafted by the Lions before going to Denver and then coming back. It's just going to come down to cost with him. Can you afford to keep him? And Scoresdale's progress, I'll say this. You saw bits and pieces where you saw some potential out of him. You also saw a lot of parts where the game looked way too fast for him. So this offseason, I think, is huge for him. Usually a player like him, you'll see a large jump from year 1 to 2. If that holds true, then he's probably very sound depth this year. And maybe by year 3, you could project him into the starting lineup. All right, Alan, what do you got? From left to right, Sewell, Decker, Ragnow, Glasgow, Scoresdale. That could be. I know we talked about it yesterday about maybe the day is coming where Decker gets moved inside to guard. You just got to make sure that he's okay with that. I would assume he would be. To me, you watch when he drops first in the pass protection with the left foot. When he drops back, to me it doesn't look as crisp as it used to. And he's not old by any means, but to me, you are starting to see signs where he's losing a little bit of that lateral quickness. And for a tackle, especially a left tackle, that's massive. Could he play another 3-4 years at guard at a high level? I think that is a real option. Again, you just got to talk him into it. So we'll see what happens. Doug, Brad Holmes could have traded for Chase Young or taken on a DB with a questionable locker room attitude, but he said he didn't. Yeah, and I think a lot of it, as we're all probably aware, a lot of it comes down to the personality of the individual you're acquiring or trying to acquire in a possible trade. MCDC, Brad Holmes, all the other representation, they seem to really be locked in on drafting certain types of guys or signing type of guys to this team. They don't want to bring in somebody who goes outside of that norm. And that's the one real question I have about Gardner Johnson, if he'll be back. I get a lot of the coaches are tight with him, but he, from a personality standpoint, he is the one that is different than the vast majority of the people in that locker room. All right, guys, it's about that time for me to get ready for work and all that stuff. Sorry, I couldn't make it through all the chat. I think I got through about 75% of them, maybe a little bit less than that, but I did the best I could in an hour, man. So real quick, hey, if there's some breaking news later today, I'll try to get on the mic. It's a fairly light day for me. If something's out there, I'll get it to you as fast as possible. But if you enjoy the show and the channel, please consider subscribing. Trying to make the push to get to 5,800. I think we're about 20 or so away. And if you would be so kind, hit that thumbs up button. Otherwise, hope you all have a great day. And I'll see you on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.